What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. This video, I'm not going to give the plug that I normally do, but I do want to emphasize that there is a possibility that channels like mine and other channels that you enjoy here on YouTube, even channels here in the LDBC, is a possibility that channels may be going down for the count. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but YouTube recently lost a lawsuit which involved children. They had to pay $170 million in this lawsuit that they lost, and it involved children being exposed to material that they shouldn't have been exposed to. And my theory is that because the YouTube lost so much money, they want to recoup their losses, and the best way to do that is to take out channels that have the least amount of power and revenue, such as smaller channels. So smaller channels like mine and others may be targeted. Hopefully that isn't the case, but I strongly advise people, if you back up my channel, if you support my channel, to come over to the Patreon. I want to thank everybody that's come over to the Patreon so far. I'm surprised at the amount of support and love I'm getting from you guys. And for only $2 per month on the Patreon, you get totally too raw, uncensored, unfiltered social issues, controversial topics. No censorship over there. So that's pretty much it, man. But I'm gonna get right into this video. The Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James are complaining about the lack of calls, that LeBron James has been getting this season. He has not been getting a lot of foul calls this year compared to previous seasons, and the league will look into it. The Lakers want the league to look into it and see whether or not some changes need to be made as far as the way LeBron's been officiated by referees. I think LeBron has a legitimate gripe in this situation. I know as a larger person that there's this perception that because you're bigger, you can take the punishment. And also when you get fouled, you don't physically react the same way that a smaller person does when they get fouled. Now, I understand about LeBron and the flopping and all that shit, man, but like I said, LeBron's a big guy. So he's not going to react generally the same way that other smaller players in his position, that's also a point that needs to be brought up, will react. I think also a lot of it is psychological, subconscious, maybe on some level. He's playing the point guard position this year. And when you think of the big point guards of history, Magic Johnson, Anthony Hardaway even, LeBron James this particular season playing point guard, they didn't really get a lot of foul calls, you know. And part of it is because some people look at it as, well, you already got these physical advantages. Anthony Hardaway came into the league 6'7", buck 90, 200 pounds, bigger than most point guards of that era. Most point guards were like under 6'5" at that time, you know, and plus with Anthony Hardaway's athleticism, I feel like he already had an advantage. Plus, he could score in the post. You know, he was the ultimate player before injuries robbed him of his abilities and his game and his explosiveness. Magic Johnson, 6'9", 220, 215, 225, whatever. He already has these huge physical advantages. So some people feel like, well, if we give him, you know, the same leeway with free throws that we give other guys, you know, it's too much of a advantage. So some of it comes from that. Some of it comes from the fact that LeBron's playing more on the perimeter now, or at least appears to be playing more on the perimeter. So that's part of it. But, you know, at the same time, the guy's getting fouled. He should be getting to the foul line a lot more, especially when you compare it to dudes like James Harden who are flopping all over the place, and you know what I'm saying, taking advantage of the tricks and downright like basically like cheating their way to the foul line. So I saw that LeBron's getting to the foul line, I think like 5 times per night, which is way down from his best seasons where he was getting there, I think like 9 or 10 times a night. Some of it maybe because he's an older player. Um, I remember when Michael Jordan came back with the Washington Wizards, the league wasn't giving Michael any preferential calls. They were essentially treating him like a rookie, especially the first year he came back with Washington, as opposed to his second three-peat years where he was getting preferential treatment. And I mean, even the most ardent Chicago Bull fan would admit in secret that he was getting preferential calls. Uh, Maybe there's some truth to the rumors that the league is kind of conspiring to move away from the LeBron era. I was just talking about this with someone where uh, it's kind of believed that if Memphis were to buy out Andre Iguodala, that he would probably go to the Lakers. And it's interesting that the Memphis Grizzlies now said that they're not going to buy out Andre Iguodala and teams are going to have to trade for him to get him. I think the league is kind of, in a sense, getting a little bit tired of LeBron James. And like I said, this is not against him at all, because LeBron James is one of the greatest players of all time. But there's this perception that they want to move on from LeBron. So he may not be getting the same preferential treatment that he's accustomed to getting. And we sometimes see this with older stars. Toward the end of Kobe's career, I thought he wasn't getting some calls that he normally would have gotten, especially after the Achilles injury. He wasn't getting the same type of calls that he was getting before. Shaq toward the end of his career, uh, he was getting called for offensive fouls left and right. I think the point I'm making is that LeBron may be transitioning to that part of his career where he's not going to get the star treatment that he was accustomed to getting every night. But like I said, there's a point to this, and I think LeBron and the Lakers do have a legitimate gripe, though. He should be getting to the foul line a lot more than what he is. He should be getting to the foul line at least at the same rate that he's been going before. But I think because he's playing at that position, there's this perception that he's already has his physical advantage, so they're not giving him the same calls that he normally have been getting. I remember Shaq, man. Shaq used to get fouled all the fucking time, man. And he went to the foul line like probably like 10, 11 times, maybe 12 times a night. But he should have been getting to the foul line as much as at least James Harden was getting there. And Wilt should have been getting to the foul line even more so than he did when he played. These guys were getting really beat up physically a lot. Like Wilt probably should have shot 25 free throws a night when he averaged 50. He probably should have averaged 60. Um, but, and another thing too, uh, to add on to what I was talking about with the league, maybe wanting to move on from the LeBron James era. If you notice, like teams are kind of not acquiescing to the Lakers when it comes to uh, trades or I don't know. It's like this perception that the league may want to move on from the LeBron James era. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. The Lakers are what 14-2. I read that this is the best start for a LeBron James team in history. So Lakers are doing okay. They're doing great. So this can't be too much of a detriment to them. But those are my reasons why I think the league may not be giving him the same calls as they had in the past. They're like, well, I think it's perception, and I also think it's like, also part of it is LeBron probably takes more outside shots than he's accustomed. Well, not accustomed to. He takes more outside shots than he did before. Um, you know, I think these are probably different reasons why he's not getting to the foul line as much. You know what I'm saying? Like generally speaking, with James Harden being well, James Harden is a shooting guard, so it's not the same thing. But generally speaking, point guards generally don't get to the foul line as much as other players. That's not always the case, but generally speaking, point guards don't get to the foul line as much. So that's part of the reason. But if you're getting hit, if you're getting contact, you should be getting to the foul line. And this is where I think LeBron James' size is a detriment to him. Refs aren't going to have the same sympathy for him as they would for a point guard that's 6 feet and a buck 85. You know what I'm saying? And that's not right. And when that's the case, he should be getting foul calls. And I think the league's going to probably make some adjustments to that. Talk to the officials, and because he was saying in the article I was reading, LeBron was saying that he was getting scratched, like physically scratched and whatnot, and shooting no free throws. I think the last game he shot no free throws, despite physical contact and a lot of it. So yeah, the league's gonna look into that. So tell me what you guys think about this issue. And I swear to God, if anybody in the comment section calls me a LeBron James hater after that video, I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking block you.